It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's time for AggroChat. This is episode 7. Today, Ray is traveling yet again, but tonight we're joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hey, how's it going?
And Dallian is filling in once again. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, sure thing. I enjoyed last time. Gives me something to do on a Saturday night.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. This week, there were a couple of really big releases. But before we get into that, Dallian, since you're the guest, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Wolfenstein New Order. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I think I played a little bit of Hearthstone, maybe some Hex, but primarily I've been playing Wolfenstein.
How many hours into the game are you at this point?
Hold on. I'll need to check Steam, but probably 6 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've only put in about an hour and a half right now. Kodra, what are you up to? What have you been playing?
I have been playing Transistor and Antichamber. And actually, I managed to beat both of those this week.
Very cool. Because Tam hooked you up with Antichamber, didn't he?
Yes. So I wasn't able to get into Transistor because I'm running on a ancient machine that runs Vista, which is apparently unsupported. So Tam was like, hey, do you like puzzle games? I was like, yes, I do. So he hooked me up with Antichamber, which was fantastic. I loved it. I love the way the world is basically there to mess with your head. But then thanks to the wonderful people at Supergiant Games, they managed to release an update that got me working.
Sweet. Yeah, this was the week we found out you actually literally run your gaming on a toaster.
Yes, I do.
Which I knew you took forever to load into like League and stuff, but I always assumed it was your internet connection, not your computer. But apparently it's your computer.
I run on a toaster. It's something I need to fix.
Yeah, and we will pester you until you do. Ash, what have you been playing?
Mostly I've been playing Transistor.
That sounds familiar.
Also a bit of ESO and a bit of the WildStar while it's been open. Trying to figure out what exactly I want to play when it launches.
So this weekend and week and whatever, I've played... Oh God, I've been kind of all over the place. I've played a lot of ESO. I actually managed to quote-unquote beat the game as much as you ever beat an MMO. And now I am knee-deep in the veteran content. I also spent a little bit of time in WildStar, mostly figuring out what exactly I wanted for my character. And right now I've pretty much settled on a Chua engineer.
Go Team Chua.
Go Team Chua, yeah. I think that's going to be a common theme. All of us seem to really like Chua. Because I have to admit, that was what made the game enjoyable for me, was playing a space rat.
I love the Chua.
They're just awesome. Like, everything about them is great. And the Chua starter zone is so much better than the Tempest Bay, I think it's called. Or is it Tsunami Bay? I don't remember.
I think it's Tempest Bay.
Tempest Bay, okay. Yeah,
I think.
It's one of those words, Stormy Storm Bay. I didn't care for that, and even more so, I didn't really like Elevar, the next zone in. So, so far the Chua stuff is much better. Other than that, I've pretty much been doing a lot of Final Fantasy V. Thank you, Ashgar, for this madness.
You're very welcome.
And I thought I.
And just think, it's like a week before the real madness starts.
Oh God, are you gonna, harangue us into doing?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Maybe I should just stop now with this and prep for the real thing.
Well, it's still like at least 3 weeks off, so that's plenty of time to beat it between now and then.
Yeah, my problem is I grind way too much, and and like for a little bit this afternoon, when we weren't cleaning like mad, I spent some time on the undead graveyard or the undead shipyard, trying to get my rangers rapid fire. But
that's
wow.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
Um,
I have
just keep going. You'll
I
do it
have a
eventually.
white mage that's maxed now. Like one of
Yeah.
my white mages has hit the final maxed level.
Wow,
I feel like
that's way more dedication than I have ever put into this game.
I know. It's a thing I do because I watched a movie this afternoon. Once we got done shopping and cleaning for a bit, and what did I watch? I watched Red Dawn, the new one, and I just ground away happily, and I can mindlessly kill stuff in a Final Fantasy game pretty well. But yeah, that's my problem. I am bad about grinding things, and it's probably why I'm of the group of us. I'm the one that's more likely to play a Korean MMO. Okay, so this week, two big releases that we've already talked about: Transistor and Wolfenstein New Order. At moment, I've put in about an hour and a half into each of them, and I feel like I've just scratched the surface. Let's, I guess, talk about Transistor without trying to give away story points.
oh man.
Yeah, I haven't actually finished Bastion yet. I'm a slacker.
So don't feel like you should have to finish Bastion because
Yeah.
even though the games are, so I have this crazy theory though, and here we go with my tinfoil hat theory. I think Red's significant other, aka the Sword, is the kid from Bastion. That's my theory. And I have no proof of this or even concept of this, but I've seen a lot of fan art of the kid from Bastion and Red together, and it seemed like, I don't know, a lot of the character design elements of the kid and the Sword are similar. So that's
Seems extremely unlikely for reasons you're going to get to later.
Yeah.
Okay. I liked my tinfoil hat theory though.
Yeah. So, man, Transistor. Transistor wiped me out. Like that game is the
It's
gameplay.
not a happy game.
It's not a happy game. Let's talk about the gameplay though. So the gameplay is really, really interesting. Like if you are not using turns, you are going to get like I tried playing without turns for a while.
Oh, I did too. Like, and I knew this was a path of madness really quickly.
Yeah, after like the first 3, I was like, nope. This game is hard enough. It's gonna make me respect it. Like, I have to be using the turns smart. Like, it's not something I can use to just like, oh, I'm gonna blow something up and do something really cool looking. No, I have to be making sure that I make very good use of my turns, and I also have to make sure at the end of a turn, I am out of harm's way, because that's about 4 seconds where I will, if I die, I will lose one of my pieces, and it's probably the piece I care about most.
Yeah. That happened to me a lot on boss fight.
That said, I got to the point where I had a really good loadout that I really enjoyed playing with. Like, I don't know about you guys, but basically Crash, sub Jaunt, sub, really it could have been anything else, but those two, being able to use Crash out while my turn was recovering was just amazing.
I valued using Jaunt as an ability too much. So I attached an offensive thing to that so I could still fight while the turn was recovering.
See, so my perspective on this was at the end of a turn, I'd better be in safety.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm either in safety or the only things that are near me are things that I can continue crash locking.
I liked being in the mix. And it worked out for me. At first I had load on Jaunt, so I could create an explosion every time I dashed around. But eventually I stuck Purge.
I used, which was the one that lets me spawn bombs when I jaunt?
Spark?
Spark,
Yeah, Spark.
yes. I used Spark on Jaunt for a bit until I discovered Bounce plus Spark, and then that became my new favorite thing. Because I love creating binary trees with enemies. But yeah, the game is I guess one of those things that I really did like about it. Like, I'm a programmer, I think a lot of that lingo was funny and interesting. Like, they did a good way of like integrating the cyberpunk elements.
Yeah, the whole thing feels like, I don't know, Matrix meets French noir,
So,
I guess, kind of.
man, this I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers, but there are some interesting themes in that game going on.
Well, and the thing that I love is the little surveys and message boards and stuff that you find along the way, and how they kind of sort of factor into what you're doing. That they're not
Yeah.
just throwaway.
No, they aren't throwaway. They're definitely there for a reason.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's to give you a forewarning about something that may be coming up. Or at least that's what it seemed like to me. Like, I'm only an hour and a half in, so I've beat the first area and I've started the second area.
It is the most in media res of in media res games I've ever played.
The storytelling is certainly unique.
It's like a less in your face version of Bastion in that you kind
Less?
well, to me it's less okay, cuz like the narrator is nonstop. Everything you do in Bastion has narration.
Yeah.
He dropped his sword.
I
And
feel
now
like
he walked
that's
over.
I feel like that's also true here. Like, well, not everything, but I feel like the narrator is telling you more of the. So this is a much more personal game, whereas the narrator was truly a narrator. In this game, it is you and your companion is constantly talking to you.
Right.
And when you get a chance, you are talking back to your companion. And the moments when you talk back to your companion are just like heart wrenching. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the reason why I say it's less in your face is that you actually have to go seek out that dialogue.
Yes.
That it's either triggered by moving into an area or interacting with a thing. So it's up to you to make the narration happen instead of, he walked over a step. The step was loose.
Well,
Not that Bastion ever sounded like that, but it was like it was a constant personal running narration, and it was awesome because it was like an extra character. But this feels like it's more engaging, I guess.
So I feel like they are different types of storytelling. Like Bastion truly was narration. It was somebody telling your story while you lived it out. Whereas Transistor is like there is no narrator. It is your personal companion talking to you, and as a result, it's a lot more emotional. Like I never got as emotionally connected in Bastion as I did in Transistor.
Well, I could say I'm already more emotionally connected to Red than I ever was with the kid. I mean, it's even an hour and a half in. I mean, it's interesting to see how stuff is playing out.
Like, and again, I loved listening to the narration in Bastion, but if anything, this just made me that much more impressed in Logan Cunningham's abilities because holy cow does he have some range with this character.
His delivery is very good.
It's very, very good. This is the part of the show where we talk about my man crush on Logan Cunningham.
The thing that almost spilled out at the tail end of last episode?
Yes, because I absolutely love listening to that voice, and it's so good. He is such a good voice actor, and there are a couple of other really good voice actors. Not to mention the fact that the soundtrack is phenomenal. Soundtrack.
The soundtrack in Bastion was mostly environmental fill, and this is definitely stuff like I would listen to on its own. In fact, I did. Like I ponied up for the full-blown version on Steam that had the soundtrack and spent all of Thursday and Friday listening to it at work and just on constant loop.
I feel like I have to take a minor exception because I totally have a Bastion OST that I just listen to constantly at work. I love the Bastion soundtrack.
I have it too, and I listen to it as well, but it's a different kind of soundtrack. These are like, so Bastion, the soundtrack, I can't necessarily tell when I'm going from one track to another all the time because it all kind of feels like it's all the same universe, and there are definite like amazing tracks in Transistor soundtrack that are just standouts by themselves. Like there's some really amazing songs that I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a completely different feel between each of the tracks.
It's
I find
true.
the vocal tracks on the Transistor soundtrack are just outstanding. They're incredible.
So the vocal tracks in Transistor tie very well into the game. Like they are very much ingrained in the narrative of the game. Whereas with Bastion, a lot of even the vocal tracks, they were tied to the game, but it was like the themes were tied to the game, less the actual singing. Whereas like with Transistor, those are songs being sung by Red, the main character.
Right, right, and that's what makes it all the more interesting. Is this is this person that you're playing that
Yes.
doesn't have a voice.
Yes, but and it's really cool. Like, I don't know if you've done this, but like when there is music playing in the background, if you press the hum ability,
Oh,
she
it's
will
amazing.
hum along to the music that is playing in the background, and that's fantastic.
Totally amazing, and it cues up perfectly.
Yes. That said, I will still say I absolutely love the Build a Wall Zia's theme from Bastion, and I think I'm going to come to love like the vocal tracks from Transistor more, but that's still definitely one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So I'm taking away from all this conversation that I really need to get this game.
This is correct.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
You do. And the thing is you need to go into it knowing this is not your standard console beat 'em up game. It is very, very nuanced. Like, I literally tried to play it like I played Bastion at first. And it's not doable. You just can't attack things fast enough by simply pressing the button. You have to do the whole bullet time queuing of abilities.
Yeah. So it's bullet time, but like so they basically give you a programming space which you program your moves in, and then you execute them instantaneously.
Right, and that's the big thing, is like when you queue them up like that, you execute them way faster than you could ever do it by pushing the buttons.
Near instantaneously.
Near instantaneously, I have to say, I did have some nonsense happen with young ladies.
Young ladies were like the thing that just drove me insane, because I couldn't really queue a full set of attacks, because the first one would land and then everything else would go away because they'd bamfed away from me.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you used that in the Nightcrawler usage of the word bamf, not the Dan Cook usage of the word bamf.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not even familiar with the Dane Cook usage, but it's Nightcrawler.
Yeah, just don't ever talk. Dan Cook sucks.
Okay.
He's the worst comedian, and I use the word comedian loosely, ever. Anyway.
The little bit of him I've seen has annoyed the hell out of me, so I have not ventured forward with. Although Eddie Izzard is coming to Tulsa, and I kind of want to go see him, but that's a rabbit trail. But yeah, so definitely, Transistor is well worth the $20 that it is right now, and if you're cheap, I'm sure in a couple months when the Steam sale goes on, it'll be like $15. But
I'm totally gonna get the soundtrack version.
Oh yeah, it's like, I don't know, what, $30 for the soundtrack version?
Extra $10.
Yeah.
Or you can just pay $10 on Supergiant Games website.
All I know is that Supergiant Games has sold me on them as a studio now. Like, a lot of times,
anything they make from here on in, yeah.
I don't care. Like, they could make a sports game and I would probably play it. Even though I hate sports games. But their design and their world building is so phenomenal for the limited tools they really have. I mean, it's a sprite game, but they make it feel so rich and textured and three-dimensional that I don't know. I'm man crushing on Supergiant Games. So I think we've probably gushed about the game enough.
There was another game that came out this week.
Wolfenstein New Order, and it is also pretty amazing.
Oh, I checked on that, and I have 8 hours in.
Okay, so yeah, you've made it significantly further than I have. It's not really unknown that I hate game introductions. Like most of my Steam-powered Sunday things start with me complaining about why the game wouldn't let me just play. So when Wolf started up with an introduction, I was hesitant, but I have to say it's one of the funnest introduction sequences I've played in a game. It's not as on rails as a lot of the other games. It feels like you're getting to do interesting and fun things while being told tidbits of the story. And I don't know, 15 minutes into the game, it has one of the coolest sequences I've seen in a shooter in a long time as you scale the side of a castle. Uh, and it's crazy. You fire these winch guns up to the top of the castle, and you're walking up the side of the castle as though you were just walking straight in a line like on normal ground. And the winches are pulling you up, and German troopers are popping out of the windows and shooting at you, and you have to protect the other people. And it's this crazy sequence, but it's just so unbelievably fun. What are your thoughts, Dal? You've made it significantly further than I have.
I enjoy that they make it like I never really played the other Wolfenstein games, so I enjoy that they kind of give you that backstory if you've never played the other one, so you kind of know what's going on. But it gets pretty intense a little bit later. There's some serious firefights, and I really was enjoying the sniper rifle earlier today because at least some interesting corpses behind. But
Well-
yeah, I mean, like how they give me. I like playing a little stealth, and I like how I have that option.
And I like that the run and gun ignore the fact that you can stealth. Gameplay is totally supported as well. It's harder, but I can totally run in guns blazing and bait enemies to come at me and whittle them down as they come out into the open.
There are times later in the game where that's really the only viable strategy.
Is to run and gun.
Well, to lure them out.
Yeah, like that's what I do. Is like I'll shoot one and I'll hang back from a safe space and just wait for them to pour out, and then loot the bodies when I'm done.
Well,
Well, I was gonna say, like I am an aficionado of the Wolfenstein series. Like a while back, I posted a blog post about like the 15 most influential games for me personally, and I don't know. It was pretty short into the list that I listed Wolfenstein, and that's really the game for me that shifted my focus away from console games to PC gaming. And I loved Return to Castle Wolfenstein, the sequel, and I still think it was one of the best multiplayer shooters out there, especially when they released the enemy territory version of it. And I totally bought the Ravensoft self-titled Wolfenstein game and was thoroughly disappointed. And I'm just glad to see this. This is more it feels like a return to the roots of the original and Return to Castle. And it's I don't know. It's not really a modern shooter to me. It's more it's more I don't know, over the top. It's not Serious Sam over the top, but it's very much this game is fun to play, and we're not going to worry so much about trying to elevate the art form of the game. We're just going to give you a lot of really interesting things to kill and have a good story going on in the background. But the moment to moment gameplay is really fun to me.
yeah, I'll say that later in the game you get some more of the giant robots, and they're really annoying.
The one of the cool sequences is just a few minutes into the game is you're basically it's the traditional thing where you're sent out ahead to make things safe for the rest of the party to come through. And one of the things is you take over these artillery guns, and it doesn't tell you can do this. I just decided I'm going to go see if I can shoot down this giant tripod robot thing that's ravaging the area. And sure enough, I could shoot it down, and it was a pretty spectacular scene of it crashing to the ground and then immediately, you get a radio, asking, "Did you shoot that thing down?" So it was kind of cool. It was a neat little moment. But yeah, I thought it was a great game. It's been getting really high reviews from what I've seen.
I can say I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm actually I would say where I'm about to go in the game, but I don't know if that's a spoiler, so I won't say it.
Yeah. It's pretty widely known that this is an alternate history type game. So if you've watched the trailer at all, you get that from it. That basically what has happened is your character from the previous games has had a brain injury, and the world around him has drastically changed, and essentially we lost World War II. And the Germans have taken over everything. So it's interesting to see what this alternate version of the '60s looks like. It reminds me a lot of there was a novel called Fatherland that was a novel about some kind of a peace treaty between Kennedy and Hitler, and I don't know. The setting kind of reminds me of that, but it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely a good game, and I feel like I should have devoted more time to it this week, but I've had other things to play.
I've been trying to get it finished before Tuesday when Watch Dogs comes out.
So, are you still playing Dark Souls 2?
I probably should, but it's annoying. I got past like the first 5 bosses, and I don't know. I started playing Wolfenstein, and I kind of just haven't been playing it. It doesn't really have like the draw to get me playing it every day. Mainly because I don't want to be frustrated at my computer every day.
And Watch Dogs comes out on Tuesday, right?
The 27th.
You'll have to let us know what it's like. I'm not planning on picking it up right away. It looks like a fun game to me, but I have so many other games right now to play.
I think that some people have gotten it early because Twitch actually had a
I
note
saw
on their
that.
page that said if you're streaming this, that's against terms of service.
Yeah, they said it was like a Digital Millennium Copyright Act violation if you were streaming Watch Dogs. So someone didn't follow the embargo rules.
Yeah, there's some PC copies out in the wild, and also some less than legitimate PC copies out in the wild.
Yeah, those usually float out the moment it goes to the post house that's actually making the CDs. But I don't know. It looks interesting, but not interesting enough for me to get it on a day one type thing. Any of you other guys picking up Watch Dogs?
Not now.
Not at this point. I have enough stuff I should be playing.
That's the problem, is right now there's so many good games that I want to be playing that I just don't have enough time.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation. It's like I'm trying to beat Wolfenstein before Watch Dogs comes out. But I need to beat Watch Dogs before Murdered Soul Suspect comes out.
I've already fallen behind. I haven't beaten Super Time Force, and I was supposed to beat that before Transistor came out.
You have beaten Transistor, though, so maybe...
But I have beaten Transistor.
Yeah.
But you still have to beat Final Fantasy V.
It's true. I'm behind.
I'm
behind both of you, actually. So
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am currently in Drakenvale having not so great times.
Oh?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of magic. It's a problem. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it other than constantly
more cottages.
Run away.
Buying cottages implies that I found a save point I can use the cottages at in Drakenvale.
There is one.
I have yet to find it.
It's pretty near the end.
That's fair.
So maybe you run all the way to the end and save there, and...
But yeah. I would like to chat for at least a little bit about the other game I played, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, dude.
Antichamber?
That's awesome. Yeah, go for it.
Antichamber.
That game is so crazy.
It is...
I think I have a copy that I got from one of the bundles, but I haven't played it.
So, you played Portal for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've played about
and basically
half
said,
of Portal, I think.
Yeah, this isn't really my type of thing, was kind of the vibe I got from you when you were talking about it.
Yeah, it's. I know it's blasphemy that I don't think that Portal's the most amazing game ever, but it just really wasn't my kind of game. Like I didn't get to kill enough people.
Yeah, Antichamber might even be less of your type of game.
Well, and like Tam really wants me to play Stanley Parable, but I feel like Stanley Parable is going to be even less of my kind of game.
But it's also only like an hour and a half long, so
It's true.
Yeah.
That's another one. I actually haven't played that. I'm probably gonna. I own it, haven't played it, but I do want to. Anyway, Antichamber is a game, and like the best way I can put it is a game where there is definitely a villain, and the villain is the world around you. It exists just to mock you. Like the world has a coherent. I'm not even going to say it has a coherent set of rules. It has rules that it follows because it is still a game, but the rules very rarely make sense. There's actually a couple of
kind of changes them on you whenever it damn well feels like it.
It sure does seem like it, doesn't it? But like in actuality, there are quite a bunch of consistent symbology. There are quite a bunch of consistent things that the world tries to tell you. But boy, if you look at a puzzle, if you look at an element and then like shift your view, the entire world will shift around you.
That's weird.
Like so here's a great example of an element. You walk into a room. There is nothing on the ground. There is a small you kind of see a small little black spot on the ceiling. If you look up at the black spot, you will see in writing the words "don't." If you look down, you will see a giant eye on the ground, which is their symbol. At this, something bad happens. Or, well, not something bad happens. If you stare at this for long enough, something will happen. As soon as you look at the eye, it disappears and you fall through a giant pit. And then you navigate through that giant pit a little bit without ever going up at all. I want to stress, you fall down a pit, you never go up, you walk out into the exact same room.
That's just that. Yeah. That would mess with my head.
Oh,
that's the entire point of the game.
But I feel
is to
like
mess with your head.
That's the point. Yeah.
That's so the point.
I actually couldn't take it. I stopped playing that game after a little while.
But that says something because you have more intestinal fortitude and patience when it comes to games than I usually ever do.
Oh, this was, and what I was telling Tam, this is a game entirely in my wheelhouse. I beat it yesterday, and oh, it was so satisfying. The last puzzle is all of the puzzles are quite hilarious actually, but like, man, some of the nonsense I did in that game just because, well, I guess this is probably what they want me to do next, isn't it? I really had a lot of fun with Antichamber though, and if you're willing to go through sort of a mind-bending experience, like if you liked Portal but wish it was harder and weirder, then Antichamber is a game for you.
Portal was weird. I guess the only thing I didn't like about
I still think
Portal,
you should play through Portal more.
I need to finish off Portal 2. The only thing I didn't really like about Portal and Portal 2 was the fact that pretty much every room had one right answer, and you kind of had to do that one right answer to get through it. And
Portal
I wish
2
it
was actually a bit better about that.
In some ways,
although it
yeah,
doesn't,
but
it doesn't really show you. But like, some of the chambers have alternate solutions, and one of the achievements is basically, if you try to do this thing the right way, you're never ever going to get this because it's a speed run to figure out an alternate way to do it.
I need to pick up Portal 2 and finish it. I need to finish so many games. I am horrible about starting a game and then just never getting back around to returning to it. But I feel like that's a symptom of having
I could
too
remind
many
you
games.
if
I know
at every opportunity if you prefer.
That was how I ended up playing it in the first place, because every time I logged in to anything, I got a little message from Ash. You should be playing Portal 2.
By the way, you might think Portal 1 only had one solution, but if you actually go into the achievement or the hard modes, you'll quickly find out that there were alternate ways of doing it, and the hard modes ask you to figure them out, which it's actually a lot of fun. Like it's a lot of the exact same level, but with like 90% of the with another 50% of the space unportable. Most of it, which you probably used in your first run through. It makes you really think outside the box. But there are alternate solutions to a lot of things.
Well, maybe I need to revisit it then, because I have actually beaten Portal 1, just I guess the normal way.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of fun with the achievement modes in Portal 1.
Portal 1 was one of those games that I would boot up when I didn't have time to play something else, and would work on a couple levels and then put it away for a while. And then work on a couple levels, then put it away for a while. And I find like I need those kind of games, like, so I may get home an hour before my wife does, and we're going to go out to dinner or something. And I want to play something, but I don't want to play something that I'm going to get super engaged in. So I need to revisit some of these other games and use those for that.
That's kind of why I've been playing Wolfenstein, because like I've been really lazy and tired this week, and it's like I can get on Wolfenstein and be like, I'm going to play for an hour. And that's I don't have to worry about getting too far.
Yeah. And I find myself staying out of MMOs when I'm like that, or I'll play something like Trove, where I'm not really going to get super into it.
My short burst game has been Diablo for a while.
Yeah, I do that too. I need to play more Diablo. I guess that was another tidbit of news this week, that the increased legendary drop rates are now permanent.
Yeah, they decided to extend the anniversary buff for forever.
Which is fine by me, because more legendaries is more better.
I almost picked up that expansion today. I was out looking for movies to watch, and I was at the Best Buy by my apartment, and they had it, but they didn't have the movies I was looking for, so I left. And the other Best Buy I went to didn't have it, so I was like, whatever.
Honestly, the big thing was the improved loot patch. I mean, that's what made the game so much funner to me. The expansion,
the pre-expansion, add the fun patch.
Yeah, add the fun patch. Yeah, that was what made it better. It wasn't necessarily the expansion that made it better. I like the Crusader. I kind of want to play one up now. And Act 5 was fun, but it wasn't just overwhelmingly fun.
I haven't been playing much of it because it is still just like it is so close to a game that I feel I should like, but there are just enough things frustrating me about it. Like, it never seems like I have a character who's the right level to play with a group of people.
Yeah, and the catch-up experience isn't quite what it used to be, so that's frustrating that you can't pull up a character as easy.
Yeah.
See, that's one of those things I don't really worry about, because I never play in groups on Diablo 3. I
prefer playing the game in a group.
I prefer playing in group as well, but I mean, there are days I want to just do whatever by myself, and mostly the only time I ever avoid grouping is when I know I'm going to be flaky and have to step AFK every few minutes or something like that, and I just don't want to be a burden to the people I'm playing with. But I prefer to play Diablo definitely with a group.
I like to do a lot of exploring, and I'm a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like to share, but I know the loot's individual, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so like if you run with like Warren, you're going to explore every single corner of a map. There's no other way. Like, that's how he plays, and that's cool, because I kind of like to do that too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think both games are fun. It's fun to try and solo stuff, but it's more enjoyable for me to play with a bunch of people. It's like League for me. Like, I will probably never get to a point where I will ever solo queue. I do the occasional ARAM, but I greatly prefer to group with people I know.
I was at that point for a while, and then I stopped being at that point because I grew very tired of playing in solo queue.
You kind of flirted with the upper echelon there for a while.
Yeah, and then I realized how terrible it was playing by myself.
Yeah, I like that game, and I like playing as a group. And something I'll mention, because a lot of the people that listen to our podcast are in the Alliance of Awesome group. But this coming Thursday, we're going to try and do the first League Beginner Night. So if you haven't played that game, or if you're like me and not terribly good at that game, we'll try and have some gentle gameplay back and forth.
I absolutely feel like that statement was directed at me.
No, it's directed at almost everyone that was interested in signing up, because really, I'm bad at League. I'm horrible at League. I'm less horrible than I was, but I'm still pretty horrible.
Oh, I've never even played a MOBA period at all. I've not touched any of them.
Totally join us, Dal. I think you would enjoy it.
If you like Diablo, I mean, I think this will be. I find Diablo League to be like Diablo.
I don't find those actually as related as you do.
Oh, I do. Like, I mean, the thing is me playing League made Diablo fun again, I guess, for me. Because
Diablo is a lot
I hate click
faster.
to move. I hate click to move, but I got used to it through playing League. And now I feel like I'm better at both games. They like reinforce each other.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that if I'm not online, I'm going to start getting some messages on my phone saying, "Hey, where you at?"
Totally. And you also need to be on when Ray is playing League, because she changes into a completely different person.
Oh, it's hilarious.
She's like
this is really funny.
It's like she goes into a blood rage.
Ash, I still think that you and I should try and do amateur casting at some point.
No.
No?
No.
I find that would be funny. Like, I think you two would do a really good job trying to live cast a match.
Nope.
That's fine. But yeah, I will probably be on. I will be probably helping out wherever I can.
I'm just hoping I can play some Brahm. Brahm? Yeah, I
his
call it
actual
Brahm.
name is... Yeah, that's actually what his name is.
Well, we have a chain of grocery store / ice cream places called Brahms. That's the same spelling, so...
I almost tried that before I left last week.
Brahms is awesome. They have like the best ice cream. And their thing is they will only go into a location within a certain distance of their ice cream plant. That way they can deliver it when it's fresh, and they've gone to all kinds of crazy extremes for their ice cream. Like, they went and found a special kind of strawberry that wouldn't freeze for their strawberry ice cream. It's crazy, but it's good. You should totally check it out next time you're in town.
I did find, I can't remember the name, but that soda that Ray had when we were there doing game night.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it either. It was some kind of B word.
Yeah, I found it here. I was grocery shopping yesterday, and they actually had it at Kroger, so I bought a few bottles.
It was good stuff. I don't remember the name of it. Speaking of things, this week, I am a horrible person.
You are a terrible person.
I am.
I hope you know that.
I am like a gleeful crack dealer. I have gotten Ray hooked on Magic the Gathering. I can tell it's already taken shape, because she's going through the signs and the symptoms. She went out that night to Walmart and bought whatever she could. Thankfully, she lives next to the ghetto Walmart, and they really don't stock that sort of stuff. But
so don't tell her that vintage stock carries it.
You know, yeah. You picked the wrong weekend to come, by the way, because this weekend vintage stock is running crazy specials of like buy one get one free on all comics, and buy two get one free of various other things, and buy one get one free on single Magic cards.
I'm currently debating the Humble Comics bundle because it's a lot of Doctor Who comics.
I picked it up. It looked really good, and I had not read any of those comics, and I thought, here you go, this is pretty much all of them, and I could catch up.
I think it is pretty much every single Doctor Who released by IDW.
And I've heard good things about them, and I guess that one won an award. I feel like we probably need to have you on like once a month now, so you can give us an update of what's going on in comics.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't really read. I read mostly Marvel now, but they have a art going on right now called Original Sin, where the first issue somebody kills the Watcher. Which, if you don't know who the Watcher is, then it doesn't really mean a lot. But there's apparently I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but apparently the part that's tied into Spider-Man is the day that Peter Parker got bit by the spider. That same spider bit another person.
Ah, so there's another Spider-Man.
Well, it's a woman, but they've only shown her like from the side, like you don't know who it is, or you haven't seen her face yet. You just know she exists.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's just started up a couple weeks ago, I think.
I always thought the Watcher was a really creepy character.
Well, he's Marvel dead right now, so he'll probably be back in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Comic book deaths are kind of like that, yeah.
I heard a rumor somewhere that Marvel is considering doing a New 52 style reboot for the entire Marvel universe. Is there any truth to that?
I have not heard that, and I hope that's a dirty lie.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I'd heard, is like that they were considering doing a ground up reboot, and I keep thinking that the fans will only suffer through so many of those.
Nah.
I don't know. I hope that's not true. I don't know how they could. I mean, they already have the mainline Marvel comics that are now basically called Marvel Now, and they have the Ultimate Comics, which they, I don't know, 3 years ago killed off almost every single character. So I mean, I don't know what else they could do.
I don't know. Like I think that's generally a bad idea, and honestly I think it was probably a bad idea for DC when they did theirs.
Ironically, they made a movie out of the. They made an animated film out of the storyline that led into the New 52 launch, which was the Flashpoint comic. And so they made an animated movie called Flashpoint Paradox, and I actually just finished watching that right when you asked me to do this.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, that's why when I sent you the message saying I'll be on in a minute, I was waiting for the credits to start.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I hate how often comics in general rewrite and do retcons. And I think that's really why I stopped reading them as much.
I feel like if you don't do this every so often, you build up a load of crud.
Yeah, exactly.
That you have to wash away every so often.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue.
Well, I agree in that aspect, but a lot of it's like there's this one bad person that gets a hold of the comic and then writes some really horrible episodes, and then you're stuck with them.
And until you retcon.
Until you retcon.
For.
Yeah, I know.
I think they do it a lot more lately. It's like if there's a dip in readership, like over the whole line, they try to get it to the point where you can just any new person can come and pick it up without having to know backstory.
So I will say this, like I don't follow comic books, but I follow webcomics pretty closely, and a lot of the best webcomics manage to maintain their maintain interesting storylines by constantly reinventing themselves without actually like explicitly doing it. So the great example is Something Positive. I don't know if any of you read that one, but Something Positive basically changes the setting or changes the core cast every 2 to 3 years, and it's been running for over 10 years now, and it's great. But it keeps doing that by reinventing itself and doing soft reboots.
DC just finished up I don't know how long ago this originally happened. They had the Infinite Crisis storyline. They recently kind of redid that, where they brought the Injustice League, not the Injustice League, basically the Evil Universe characters in, and some of them, the ones that are left alive at the end of the series, are now part of the mainline DC universe.
The Justice Lords.
Yes, the Justice Lords. Thank you.
I feel like
I know about the Justice Lords because I watched the Bruce Timm cartoon. That's the only reason I know.
I think this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, but you guys aren't going to read this, but I think the only one left alive is Owlman and Superwoman, and Owlman is like, he wants to be partners with Nightwing, so he traders on the Justice Lords.
Isn't Owlman like, we've come full circle then? Because, and I'm trying to remember who it was in the Charleston comics, But basically, Charleston Comics had a character that Alan Moore then co-opted, sort of, because DC Comics wasn't really comfortable with what he was doing inside their universe with Watchmen, to be Night Owl.
Right.
And so
right.
now we have an alternate. We have an actual DC sanctioned Owlman who, and how close is that to Night Owl, the character from Watchmen?
I don't know. I don't think very I don't think very much at all.
Is Owlman the dark Batman?
Pretty much. I mean, I'd have to reread the Infinite Crisis book, but I mean, as far as I can tell, it's just like Batman who's a little bit more violent, which is saying a lot.
Which doesn't sound that far off from Watchmen. Although I guess Night Owl was one of the more sane members
Yeah,
of
he was
team.
the one who wasn't interested in fighting.
Yeah. I feel like a comic that did a really good job of rebooting itself and staying relevant without ever really retconning was Cerebus. If you dig back that far into the annals of indie comicdom.
I think...
Because like every chapter essentially was its own little thing. Like there was some connection to the previous things, but so there was a lot of different times and settings, and you just had to accept that all of this is this only really matters for this period of time.
Now I haven't really been reading Walking Dead for the last year or so, but I think they actually just rebooted it.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking at the cover in like the first few pages of the latest issue, and it looks like an entirely new cast. Now, I mean, like I said, I haven't read it, but it looks like it's an entirely new cast of characters.
So, honestly, like, I feel more comfortable when a comic book reboots if they change the name and, like, end the comic. Like, when New Mutants ended, there was a finite finish to it, and then XForce picked up from that point on. I don't know. Like, I would rather comics, like, were more like manga or anime, and they ran for a series of time, and then those characters may move to a different comic, but that story is over.
I think they recently did that with the man, I'm totally failing tonight at comic book names. It was the one that had the Spider-Man clone Kane, Scarlet Spider. They recently ended that, and he is now. Wait, no, I'm thinking of Venom. They recently ended Venom, and he is part of the Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Well, they used to do that kind of stuff in X-Men all the time with, like, Executioner's Song and Extinction Agenda, but they were just like sequences of or even Days of Future Past, which is now in the theaters. And those only ran for a certain period of time, and there was like a beginning, middle, and end to it, but they didn't shift comics on it. I think I would have rather liked it treated almost like a graphic novel that, this only really matters for this period of time, and then you move on and the characters do other things, but that original comic ends and you move to the next one. Especially since it's no longer a situation where people really even subscribe to comics. So it's not like you need the subscription revenue of this title forever. Comic book fans are going to the shop and they're going to pick up the next title that the character moves into if they cared for that character.
Yeah, I mean, like what I do, I have my local shop, and I just have a reserve list, and every time like Amazing Spider-Man comes out, they pull it and set it aside for me.
Yeah, but I'm sure you could do that with, like, I want all the comics with, Punisher in them, or I want all the comics with someone in it.
I think you can do that. I mean, I haven't really asked, but I'm sure that they could.
I don't know. I miss the local comic shop. We don't really have that many in Tulsa. Like, most of ours are chains or run by someone who's not super interested in comics.
Yeah, I'm lucky that we have one that I know of, really good one in Little Rock, that the guy is really, I think his store's been open for almost 25 years, and he's really interested in, like, you can talk to him for a long time about just what's going on.
Well, we have gone a little over an hour now. I think we've covered most of the topics we were dying to cover for tonight. Because, the secret of this podcast is it's really loose, and we have a Google Doc that we basically jot down topics as we think of them. And for
It may
today's,
have been sabotaged this week.
yeah, tonight's was totally sabotaged. It says transistor in 72-point font, and then underneath it says things that are not transistor, and we talked about both of those. But
Success.
it was a success, yeah. And
Success, yeah.
And we brought Dallian on again, and he informed us of comicdom, even though he couldn't remember the names.
I'm totally feeling today. I don't know why. I don't know.
Next week we might have to do a little bit more. We might include a spoiler warning for Transistor because I do want to eventually talk about the story of Transistor.
I will try my best to have beaten the game by next show.
All right.
All right.
And I have a long weekend, even though we've got a bunch of crap planned. Hopefully, a couple hours that can be devoted to Transistor.
You know, I say that, and I'm pretty sure I have a wedding next week, so I won't be here. But yeah, you guys have fun without me.
Then we can discuss it when you're back, because I don't want to do that conversation without you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you've wasted another perfectly good hour talking to us. Ash, how can we get a hold of you?
I've got a blog at ashfang.com, or I'm on Twitter at hidden_wings.
Sweet. Kodra, hit us with your details.
I am on Twitter at Kodra22.
And Dallian.
Okay, I've got my Twitter. It's at Dr_Hannah. I've got my blog. It's drhannah.wordpress.com, and I drank the Kool-Aid, and I signed up for a Nook, so I'm at a Nook as Dallian.
Sweet. I am, as always, at agronaut.com or at Belghast. I try and stream a few times a week on Twitch TV, and I am Belghast there, and also Belghast on a Nook, which is a really cool service that I'm getting used to. And it has proved extremely cool for the Alliance of Awesome stuff. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you next week.
See you.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.